Hello, my name is Jonathan Pilkington, and this is the Luxury All-Inclusive Travel Podcast. In this episode, I'm talking with Sandy Shadler, who recently went on a cruise with Paul Gauguin Cruises, along with her husband. This company also only has one ship, and they sail exclusively in French Polynesia. As I spoke with Sandy, I realized what a unique experience Paul Gauguin offers. And the number one thing that really stood out to me is that they have a group of locals on board who sail and interact with the guests. So the entire cruise is a culturally immersive experience. Paul Gauguin happens to be a Virtuoso preferred partner, so all Virtuoso guests receive $100 shipboard credit per guest. This means that if you book with me as a Virtuoso advisor, then you are a Virtuoso guest and you receive these perks. If you're looking to visit this part of the world, I believe you should strongly consider Paul Gauguin, and please contact me to organize the entire trip for you. I hope you enjoy this episode as I talk with Sandy about this amazing destination and cruise line. Okay, so I'm talking with Sandy Shadler, who, as you can see from her screen, is at Travel Inc., which happens to be the agency that I am affiliated with. And I'm very happy. It's a Virtuoso agency, which is exactly what I was looking for. And one thing I love about the travel industry is the people, and they're so helpful and kind and just want everybody to succeed. So we met on a river cruise in it was over the new year of 2019 to 2020.
Yes.
When we were
Alma
so
Magna.
innocent.
Yeah.
Yes. The Alma Magna, and it was the most magical experience.
It was.
Yeah. And so we met then, and then when I was looking for a new agency, I contacted her, and it's been great ever since.
Thank you, Jonathan. It was so great when you reached out. And that's the other great thing is when you get to travel with each other and you connect. And so we connected on Facebook and stayed in touch. It was good.
Yeah, exactly. So Sandy is also on the Travel and Leisure Advisory Board, which I'm sure you'll hear more about that in my coming up travels as a result of that.
Yes.
But as part of that, Sandy went on a Paul Gauguin cruise to French Polynesia. Is that what we say? Or Tahiti? Or is it the same thing?
Tahiti is part of French Polynesia.
Okay.
But yes, I did 2 weeks with Paul Gauguin, and I did the Marquesas Islands in addition to the Society Islands, where you get Tahiti, Bora Bora, and the more well-known islands.
Okay, great. And where can we find this? There's an article written in Travel and Leisure.
Yes. So in the current issue out now, actually, the October 2025 issue of Travel and Leisure, there's a little feature on Paul Gauguin and my 2 weeks on board.
Yeah. So I would encourage you to read that in addition to listening to this podcast. So before we get to the cruise, I wanted to talk about just luxury, since this is the Luxury All-Inclusive Podcast. So how I've defined it in my first episode was mostly about attention to detail. Of course, we think of luxury as being nice things, but as long as that is expected and taken care of, then it's the attention to detail from the people you interact with and the food you eat and the drinks you drink. So what are your thoughts on what luxury is?
I think it's a really great point. You can't really have a truly luxurious experience without the details being covered, right, Jonathan? So I think you're onto something there. I would expand it out a little bit more to say that luxury it's kind of like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder, right? Luxury is a very open word and it means something different to everybody. But I think true luxury experiences are ones where you are not getting nickel and dimed. And that's why I love you're doing like luxury all inclusive. Even if it's a customized trip that you're doing in Italy, you still want to make sure everything's as inclusive as possible. And nobody feels like, oh, this is $100 here. This is $500 here. This is $30 here. Oh, now I have to tip this person versus this person. Like you want as much of that pre-taken care of in your details as possible. So I think truly luxury overall is the entire experience being fully customized to your needs.
Okay, yes, I love that. Yeah, and another part of my thought is that you don't have to think.
Yeah.
once you're there.
We've pre-thought it for you as much as
Yes,
possible.
right. And regardless of your budget, it's just nice not to think about money or
Or
how.
transfers or how I'm
Yeah.
gonna get the logistics of travel, which is
Hmm.
it's not the fun part. Yes.
Oh, yes, all those things. Okay, so on to Paul Gauguin. I am not an expert. I've done some research, and just so happens we had a webinar yesterday. But from what I understand, there was one ship. It's the MS Paul Gauguin, or they call it the Gauguin.
The Gauguin.
Okay.
It's just known as that. So Paul Gauguin was a very famous French painter, right?
Yes.
And the ship actually was created when it was first built. It was created by a French company for the American market.
Mm.
So it always had us in mind. And then back in 2018, it was bought by Ponant, a French company.
Mm.
And so it's maintained its Frenchness, which is part of its DNA, which, by the way, gives it an elevated food experience overall.
Mm.
We all love the French food and the baguette,
Yes.
like literally eat bread every day. Just saying. But no, so Paul Gauguin, this painter actually from France, very famous, moved to the islands. And
Oh.
he moved out to the Marquesas and set up shop up there and really he lived a bit of a hedonistic life out there, but he, took local wives and painted and really sent his paintings back to the Western world to give them a glimpse of tribal life out in French Polynesia.
Mm.
And so that's actually where he lived out his days, and he passed away on the island in his very simple life in his little simple hut.
That's amazing. Thanks
Yeah.
for that bit of art history.
Yes.
I love it.
Well, and on board the Paul Gauguin, one of the things Ponant did in, I want to say it was in 2021, as part of their refresh, they added a digital museum throughout the ship.
Oh,
So you will be immersed in the destination through local artifacts from Tahiti, Bora Bora, all the islands, but also Paul Gauguin's work.
fantastic. Nice. Um, Another thing I think we should point out is what I read on their site is that the ship has 333 guests maximum, which is
Yes.
very nice. It's not a tiny ship, right?
It's not
Yeah.
tiny, but it's also very not large.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can imagine it's large enough so that you don't feel crowded with that
Right.
number. Yeah. And 1 to 1.5 crew to guest ratio, which is pretty fantastic.
When you talk about luxury and taking care of details, there's always somebody there to take care of your details, and they get to do very well. I would
Awesome.
say we were not full. There was 263 guests when I sailed
Mm-hmm.
for the 2 weeks, and we had some. It was July, so we had some multi-gen families on there as well, teenagers, because they were older and they could do the hiking and snorkeling and scuba and all the different things, and so they enjoyed that as a family. We talked to some of the families there, but yeah, you never felt crowded. You always got the tables that you wanted at dinner, and the staff really gets to know what you like to drink, what you like to
Mm,
eat, where you want to sit.
fantastic. Um, so I believe this is correct. I'm kind of springing this question on you. It's pretty much a truly all-inclusive experience, right?
Yes, yes.
Does that include?
I did not get out my little credit card for anything other than I wasn't feeling well the last day and I went to Med Bay.
Okay. Are excursions also included?
You can pre-do those. So they have a lot of different choices. And so you can pick those a couple of months before the sailing. The whole list, and there's a lot of choices. So the whole list comes out about 4 months before you sail.
Mm,
So you can kind of get an idea of what you want. And they do have some additional costs. I found them to be extremely reasonable compared to some of the other cruise ships I've sailed on, but there are a lot of unique ones as well, based on your destination. Right, you're in paradise, and so they have some very unique things. And then there were things that we just did on our own. We hiked to a waterfall on one of the Marquesas Islands
mm,
and just enjoyed. There were four of us at the waterfall, so
yeah.
there's a lot to do as well, without pre-planning.
Okay, good, great. And yeah, so I think there are advantages and disadvantages to excursions not being included?
Yeah, I think the advantage is that of it not being included is they can offer so much more, right?
Hmm.
There's so many more options, and you can really tailor it to what you're interested in. I'm not a scuba diver, so if that was included, that's not cheap either, right? Scuba diving tends to be a really good excursion as far as cost goes, but it's not of interest to me. So I wouldn't want that kind of cost built in if I'm much more of a paddleboard.
Absolutely. Same here. Okay. Um, okay. We're getting to the cruise. So
Okay.
let's discuss how you got to the cruise and what happened, like spending a night in a hotel before, etc.
Oh, it is a really important aspect of choosing to go to French Polynesia. It's not for Americans, right? It's not just around the corner. And you're going to the edge of the time zones, right? Just before the international date line. So we had several options, and it's usually through LA or San Francisco. I chose United Polaris business class through San Francisco. I'm in Nashville, so I did nonstop Nashville into San Francisco and then San Francisco to Papeete. It was actually quite simple. I had a decent layover in San Francisco, and the Polaris experience was really, really nice. I also found the time of day for the flights worked really well compared to the LAX flights, especially on the return. On the return, you're going to want to have a day room after you get off the ship because those flights don't leave until late in the evening. And going back to LAX, my friends from the ship who were going that way were leaving at like 12:30 a.m. So
Mm.
I left at 9. My flight was at 9 p.m. So it was a little bit more of a like normal. You weren't getting too tired. You were getting on the plane, getting comfortable,
Mm.
go to bed, kind of a thing.
Right.
Wake up in San Francisco, 8 a.m.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Um, and how do you book a day room as just, is it called booking a day room or is you just book it for a night?
You're technically booking an extra night so that you
Okay.
have it all night, but we call it a day room just because you're not staying overnight.
Hmm.
But it is just another day that you're going to book at the hotel.
Okay. That's great. Great advice. Okay. So you
It's
get
either
to the,
that or you have to find a way to keep yourself busy roaming around. And Papeete, if you're flying out of Tahiti, it's a beautiful town and there's things you can do, but you've got to kind of keep yourself busy until late in the evening uh,
right.
with your luggage
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you get off the ship. So the day room just makes a lot of sense again when you're talking about luxury and you don't want to have to lug your bags everywhere. Get the day room.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, okay. Is there anything to say about just getting to the ship and the embarkation process and how that goes?
It was very simple, and I would say the great thing about Paul Gauguin is what I didn't realize coming in is everybody from the ship was right there to help welcome us on board, get our bags organized, and get through. So Papeete is not a huge port, so if you have regular cruisers who go out of the big ports, out of Miami and such, that are just even New Orleans. That there's a lot of ships, there's a lot of baggage, there's a lot of humans everywhere, and it can get a little confusing, a little like Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. Uh, but Papeete is very simple and very straightforward. Everybody's very friendly. But you walk in and you say Paul Gauguin, they know exactly where to point you. And there's somebody there with a cool drink, and they will take your luggage, and it magically shows up in your stateroom. And it was 15-20 minute process.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, good. Um, so what about just getting on board the ship? What were your first impressions? Like, what is the ship like?
The ship is very destination oriented, like I mentioned. It was light and bright. They did do a soft main interior update in 21, 23, not too long ago. They're going to, Paul Ponant is investing and will be updating all bathrooms and all of that
Hmm.
coming up in 27, I believe.
Okay.
But I still found the bathrooms very usable, excellent shower pressure. I have a tub in my suite as well, so plenty of room to relax when I wanted to just relax in our suite. But overall, the dining options there were three of them: La Veranda, La Grill, and Le Toit. Le Toit. My French is terrible, but the main dining room, which
Okay.
Actually, we went between, a lot of people love veranda. I did that for breakfast, but I would say the La Grill up on the top floor outside dining,
Mm.
brilliant. Loved doing that. And then in the dining room, main dining room, we made so many different friends on board, and we would just enjoy getting together with them.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, since we're talking about dining, like just let's go further with that. So, how was the food with the French influence?
With the French influence, it was amazing, actually. And I would say for me as well, I think a lot of travelers deal with some sort of food allergy or dietary requirements, restrictions, and all of that. So
Hmm.
that for me is one of the first things I deal with. My mother, I've traveled, done mother-daughter trips with my mom. She's allergic to different things than I am. I have a shellfish, mollusk kind of a thing.
Mm.
But immediately, as soon as you let them know that you have something, the dining room manager comes and he spends quality time with me and we talk through it all. And I really wanted this one dish, and he went back to the chef, and the chef made it without the oyster sauce and everything that I couldn't have. He did it with something different. So they customized the dishes for me. He would tell me as soon as he saw me walk into breakfast, he would say, these things have shellfish in them or oyster sauce or something. You cannot have these things. The rest of this is fine. If it was, like the breakfast buffet,
Yeah.
um, every day he would pre-give me the menus for the next day.
Mm.
So they really make sure. And I asked him what was the most, because it does have like 300 guests max, right? I'm like, what is the most you've had to manage with dietary? He had to do 32 people in the dining room at one time who
Ooh.
all had different dining room dietary restrictions. So they take it very seriously.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
It's a huge comfort knowing I wasn't going to get sick when I'm on the ship for 2 weeks. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, but
Mm.
overall, the food itself, amazing. We ate very well. As I mentioned, the bread every day was good, but we were changing it up. I think a lot of times you get into a routine and you just go with what's comfortable, but there were different things on the menu each day that we just enjoyed trying.
Oh, okay. Is it so? It's French influenced, but is also Polynesian influenced. Like,
It is. They have local Polynesian dishes as
okay,
well as some of the French. They have international American favorites as well. You can get a
right.
steak, you can get your burgers, you can get,
Okay.
every now and then we all need a burger. Let's just
Yes.
it's just the thing. They have a most amazing French fries, I will say,
Ooh.
as well when you need those. But they have a little of everything, and the staff itself is so friendly, and they have a large Philippine population as well, and so they do also have some Philippine dishes as well.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, that's fun. um. Okay, so beverages. Like, what about like wine selection? Do they serve champagne as a like standard thing? Like, how does that work?
They will greet you with champagne.
Okay.
It's the French thing to do. It's one of those French things to do. Um,
Yes.
they have very good mixed drinks. They have a very good mixologist.
Mm.
The wine on board, the wine stewards are amazing. I actually have been having a harder time with sulfates, right? So
Mm.
I get very picky with my wine now because otherwise I get headaches, and we didn't want to have any of that. And they brought a French bottle of wine, and I loved it, had no
Mm.
issues. And so we got home. My husband actually ordered a case of it because it was like, oh, this is good. And it wasn't crazy expensive. So back in the States here, it was only like $20 a bottle, but it was quality French wine. When you're in
Right.
France, you can go get it for $10 a bottle. So
Hmm.
no, so great selection. And again, doesn't matter where you are, what restaurant you're in, they learn your drink, they learn what you want, and they'll even make recommendations if you're feeling lucky and you want to try something new.
Okay. I love it. Sounds like my kind of place. Um, okay, this is great. You sort of mentioned your bathroom was comfortable. You had a tub in your suite. What about the rest of it? What type of suite were you in?
Um, oh, that's an excellent question. I don't remember the name of the suite. That's terrible. I should know that off the top of my head, and I really
Okay.
don't. But in my suite, I was worried because, cruise ship suites are not necessarily, like hotel suites, right? Not huge. They have a limited space they're working in. I was worried about packing for 2 full weeks and being able to fully unpack in closets and drawers and all of that. They had plenty of storage. I had no problems unpacking a full 2 weeks worth of clothing,
Mm.
shoes, everything else. And because I was also doing this for the Travel and Leisure magazine article, I had extra stuff because I was like, oh, it's not just a vacation. I have to look pretty too. So I had extra shoes and all the things, plenty of storage. When I got in, the amenities in the room were really lovely. We had fresh flowers. We had lovely chocolates, and I just every day they would replace it with some fresh fruits because I put in my little dossier, I'm not big on candy or sweets or macarons and all that. I really love fresh fruits and nuts and that, and so that's what was in my room every day.
Oh, okay. That's great. Um, all right. So what about, so I think you had some, we're going to get to the destination soon,
Sure.
but I think you said there was some downtime, like some sea days, because it's some distance between islands.
Yeah.
So, what are those like? And also just general activities and entertainment on the ship.
Oh, that's a really good question. So, during sea days, especially, I did take advantage of the gym. It has a small gym. It has a spa on board, where you can get some massages, and obviously, if you can buy in packages, you get a good percentage off. Um, they have living on board. They have a group of, they call them the lagoons, but Tahitians who actually live on board, and so
Mm.
every day they help you get immersed in the culture. So we did different activities, and we would learn different things about marriage, everyday life, decorations that they do for celebrations, all kinds of little things about daily life, that were really fascinating.
Mm.
Growing up, I grew up in the Midwest, right? And you could drive everywhere. We went on a ton of driving vacations. They're growing up on these little islands, right? And so their experience in day-to-day life and connecting with the other islands is such a unique and different way to be raised. And so it was lovely to meet these people and really hear their stories and understand culturally, what their life was like growing up on these all these little islands in French Polynesia. So they're on board with you the whole time. So that's always going on. But then there's always fun things like they have the ping pong table out, or, they have some different art activities going on. They have speakers and they have lecturers who come and were on board with us for the whole time and talked about history in French Polynesia and the different explorers who had come in and their influence as well. I think the most fascinating thing to me is actually something that the captain said directly to me when we were speaking at sunset one night. And he said, the French Polynesian spirit is so strong. They will bring you in and welcome you in, but they will change you. You won't change them.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Um, yeah, and I've never heard of another sort of cruise where the locals live on board and cruise
Yeah.
with you. So are you also interacting with them just outside of any sort of presentation they do?
All the time. They
Yeah.
are everywhere. And it's funny when I talked about embarkation, what I didn't realize is one of them, he was like one of the Gauguins. He was helping get my bag. He took my bag,
Oh wow.
they're involved start to
Mm.
finish. And it really is like a little family on board, just taking care of their guests.
Yeah, that's a really unique experience. I love that.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, okay. How about highlights of the islands you visited? We don't have to go through them all.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I went to 11 islands. So yeah, when we were speaking about this before, I was like, oh my goodness, I have to look at my pictures to talk about the different islands just because we saw so many over the 2 weeks and each of them has their own unique personalities and different experiences. And so, I would get all the names wrong as well. They're also lovely, but we did snorkeling. The very first island we stopped at, we did snorkeling. I went snorkeling with sharks, Jonathan.
Wow. That's crazy.
I looked down and there's two moray eels. By the way, they're much bigger than what I saw on TV growing up as a kid watching National Geographic, but two moray eels. And then there was a whole bunch of black tip sharks underneath us. And it was fascinating. And my husband wasn't listening to the directions that the captain was giving us. excursion captain, so he didn't realize there were going to be sharks. And he was like, "Why are you so calm? There's sharks below us." Like, I listened to the instructions. Um, but the fish were amazing. The snorkeling was amazing. And that was just like, oh, that's day one, in these beautiful blue
Yeah.
turquoise islands. And then that evening, one of the local tribes came on board and they did a whole presentation for us. They sang for us, they danced for us. And even there was a little 5-year-old in the group. So he's not exactly sure what he's doing in the dance, but he's doing it. He's out there just going along with the adults. But and then we got to talk to them afterwards. So it was pretty great.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great start. And then, we get a sea day and we get out and then we do hiking. These islands are so amazing. And so we hiked all the way up. We pulled in, and you tender a lot because we're going into these little islands. They don't have a big dock for the ship. So we tender into the island and we get off and we hiked up and we went to Paul Gauguin's cemetery where he's buried.
Mm.
And then we went to his house. And they actually have on his island, they have a museum. And this was my favorite part, Jonathan. This is one of my favorite things about visiting that island and learning about Paul Gauguin directly was in the museum. They have some of his wood because he didn't just paint when he was there. He did wood sculptures. But so they have some of his artwork there, but they have pictures of all of his famous works. And then it also lists where they are in the world. So these are in the Louvre. These are in the Met in New York City. These are in London. These are in Cleveland, Ohio. It was fascinating, but it was like all in one little world. It was Paul Gauguin and where his art just expanded out to the planet.
Yeah.
And then you walk out and you look around and you're still in paradise.
Right.
You don't do that in the Louvre. You walk out, you're in Paris. It's still lovely, but it's different.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But each island, again, has its own personality. In each island, they had the locals greeting us in their unique way. So that is the other thing I really looked forward to was understanding the culture of each and every island.
Right. I think that's important because I think most people, including me, would say, I'll just go to an overwater bungalow in Bora Bora and that's enough because it's all the same.
It's lovely. I am not gonna knock up Bora Bora waters. Let me tell you, I think that spending a few days doing that is a fantastic idea, pre or post. But you'll miss the spirit of the islands. And the song "Southern Cross" by Crosby, Stills, Nash?
Yes.
Okay, they talk about the Marquesas in there.
Oh,
and the Marquesas are wild, and it's like you understand why you came this way. Is part of the song. And when you get out to the Marquesas, you really understand the pureness of paradise. It's really hard to articulate, and none of your listeners are going to understand it until they go. That's all. Okay. You got to go.
Yes. And contact me.
Yes. Contact Jonathan and your Paul Gauguin trip out there.
Yes. And I'm going to put a link to the song because I need to go listen to it myself, and just in case anyone's looking for it.
Yeah. And I've always loved that song because I love the harmonies, but we played it on the ship after dark one night, and the Aussies, of course, any cruise you go on, if there's Aussies on there, be their friends. They're the most fun.
Yes.
But they were singing it out loud. And so we all had a really great conversation around that song. It was good.
Fun. Okay. Oh, I forgot to ask about like pools and just other public spaces on the ship.
Oh,
because I would go anywhere for a great pool. So,
well, and their pool, it's not a huge ship, right?
Yeah. So
it doesn't have like 3 or 4 different pools. It has the one pool. It is up on the top deck, and it was refurbished just 2 years ago. So it is lovely. They've got some great covered space as well, so you don't, like me, don't get burnt
right
to a crisp. And they have the servers out there as well. So the bar, you can get snacks, food, drinks, everything all around the pool there. I will tell you, a lot of the evening entertainment, my favorite of the evening entertainment, we were talking about public spaces. They have a great showcase room where a lot of the tribal dances and everything happen. But the staff night, they do a variety show for staff night. favorite all time, like all the people that you see throughout the ship or that wait on you or that help you with things, and then they're up there dancing or singing or doing fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Everyone loves a talent show.
Exactly. And after a full day of like hiking and snorkeling and all of that, we were, after we get through dinner, we'd be like ready for our PJs and go relax on our balcony or, in the room. And I would miss the evening entertainment a lot of times because I was ready
Right.
for bed because we were going to start early the next day, but I did not skip that.
Okay, good to know. Um, Anything else to discuss that we've missed about the ship or the cruise?
I think the biggest thing is to really, it was much more of a cultural experience than I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you plan a trip to Hawaii or you plan a trip to, the Caribbean or something, and you're going to just relax, enjoy the weather, beautiful scenery. That's great. I had such a cultural immersion and learned so much more than I was expecting that I came to truly love the area. And I think one of the most fascinating things to me is in the Marquesas capital, they always have these communities living rooms, if you will. It's an outdoor space, but they share things and each island brings a gift.
Hmm.
Their cousins from the Easter Islands brought a statue for them for there. So there is an Easter Island statue sitting there in their community room in their capital.
Wow.
And you think about how far away, again, you have to look at the map. You think about how far away the Easter Islands are, and it just really brings to life how important the water and connecting with each other was to them,
Mm-hmm.
finding each other. So I would say Paul Gauguin also, that makes me think of the movie Moana, right? So watched Moana, love the rock and all of that. But
Right.
it truly is a cultural thing to connect with other people, and they go across oceans to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're really, French Polynesia is a very special place that way.
Okay, great. Because I think a lot of times people think, you don't get any culture from a cruise because you're just going from port to port and in and out. But this sounds like truly an amazing experience for that.
Truly. Yeah, I got a lot more than I expected.
Right. Fantastic. What about when the cruise was over? What happened?
And we cry. No.
Yes.
So at the end of the cruise, we had a great, kind of closing night and say goodbye to all the friends we made on board and connecting with people. And I'm actually going to see a couple of them in November because a couple that we really connected with, they live in Santa Barbara, and I'm going to be out there on business. So we're gonna get together for dinner. So I'm excited about that.
Nice.
But Captain came around. Captain and the hotel director were very involved in all of us, and then they greeted us as we were leaving. So we disembarked in Papeete and we did a city tour. Actually, you've got all day.
Mm-hmm.
So once we got to Papeete, they just took our bags straight to the hotel, to the day room. And we went on a city tour. We went and saw more waterfalls and we learned more about Tahitian history directly. And it was really a fantastic just day in the city before we went back and relaxed for the afternoon.
Okay, great. Because the flight leaves in the evening and it's nice to have a room to go to relax.
Relax and
Yes.
just kind of get ready for everything that's coming or catch up on social media posts that you didn't do when you were on board.
Right. Okay. Well, it sounds amazing. And I've got to find the time and everything to go. So
You have to do it.
I'm sold. Yeah.
Highly recommend 10 out of 10.
Great. Okay. Well, I guess that covers it. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Well, I'm so happy I got a chance to. And Jonathan, definitely, if your clients don't have time to do the full 2 weeks, which it's a commitment for the 2 weeks because you want to do a little pre and post as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I do recommend actually, flopping for a few days on one of those over the waters, but just to keep that vibe going as long as you can before you head back to civilization. The 7-day Society Islands still a fantastic experience with Bora Bora and everything. And my husband and I were on board celebrating our 20th anniversary. And everybody who celebrated an anniversary, Paul Gauguin has a very special little ceremony that they do in Bora Bora, which I won't give away, but I'm just saying it is a fantastic way to spend an anniversary.
Nice. Okay. Good to know. So I guess that's it. I appreciate your time. And
thanks for having me, Jonathan. It was great to talk to you.
Same here. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again for watching or listening to the Luxury All-Inclusive Travel Podcast. In case you're listening to this as an audio version, it is also available on YouTube so that you can see any photos or videos that we share. And there were quite a few in this episode. Just search for the Luxury All-Inclusive Travel Podcast and subscribe there. Just remember that there are always promotions going on with travel companies. And when you book with me, you will receive those as well as any added perks that I am able to add to your booking, most likely as a result of being a virtuoso advisor. At the very least, with Paul Gauguin, you receive $100 per person in shipboard credit. Please like and subscribe, leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening. Most importantly, please visit my website at pilkingtontravels.com or email me at jonathan@pilkingtontravels.com when you are ready to travel. Thank you.